How Li Ka-Shing built financial freedom before 30 and you can too. Art of Fortune welcomes you all. After reading the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, we understand that only by owning a business or assets that generate passive income can one achieve financial freedom. But I want to ask everyone a question. If you had 10 billion, VN, or a large fortune, before age 30, would you retire? Recently, I recalled how I made my first capital and wondered why I succeeded in starting my business. Why, when buying the same stock, did I profit while others lost? It wasn't until I casually flipped through the book about Li Ka-Shing that I read during my third year of university that I found the answer. At that time, I didn't understand his mindset. I wondered why, at 30, his wealth was already enough for his entire family to live comfortably for life without working. Yet he continued to work until he was 90 before retiring. By then, his son was over 50, nearing retirement age himself. Was it because he didn't trust his son's abilities? Or was he simply too greedy for wealth? Actually, neither was true. His son had already proven his money-making capabilities. And Li Ka-Shing himself had donated a third of his assets to charity. So, what was the ultimate reason? Why do we need to study Li Ka-Shing? What does this person have to do with our path to wealth? Are there still opportunities to make big money in this era? Looking back at the lines I once marked with a highlighter and the notes scribbled in the margins, I found the answer and realized I had unconsciously emulated Li Ka-Shing without even knowing it. I immediately summarized some important principles that helped me succeed, and I will share them all with you in this video. I will provide step-by-step guidance, pointing out what needs to be done at each stage. If you truly want to start from scratch, build your own business, learn how to invest to achieve financial freedom, and change your life, please watch until the end. You won't find this content anywhere else because it's all based on my personal experiences and insights. I haven't even shared these publicly during my company's internal training sessions. The final part will be the most valuable. Before we begin, I want to emphasize that this channel, Art of Fortune, is dedicated to those who want to become entrepreneurs, investors, and wealthy individuals. If you want to receive this information for free, please consider subscribing to my channel and turning on notifications. I sincerely wish all brothers and sisters who have liked this video will soon achieve financial freedom. Without further ado, let's get straight to the main content. First, everyone needs to cultivate a solid dream from deep within. This isn't just empty motivational talk. Everything I say has a philosophical basis behind it. Please listen patiently. This phrase has 3 keywords: inner self, solid, unwavering, and dream. Why do I emphasize the inner self? Because everything external is a reflection of our mind. If your life isn't going as you wish, it's because deep down, you still see yourself as mediocre. Let's add a bit of psychology. Humans always want to prove themselves right. During arguments or disagreements, even when realizing you're wrong, you still try to find reasons to defend your stance. Some even dig up old stories to prove they were right, even if it's irrelevant to the current situation. Similarly, if deep down you always believe you are poor, you will constantly seek evidence to reinforce that belief. You might believe that peacefulness is happiness, and then you unconsciously live an ordinary life, becoming a poor person, exactly as you always thought of yourself. Therefore, the first thing I want you to do is to make your inner self strong. Did Li Ka-Shing have a solid inner self? Absolutely. He quit jobs multiple times, even at the peak of his career. Whenever he reached a management position like project manager or business director, he would decide to resign. This is very difficult because most people lack the courage to give up everything they've achieved: position, salary, benefits, to jump ship or start a business from scratch, building their own career. So why could Li Ka-Shing do it? Because his inner self was strong enough. He knew for sure he would succeed, that he would become wealthy. He understood that working for others couldn't lead to a brilliant future. Only starting one's own business could make one rich. Therefore, for him, quitting wasn't something to hesitate about. When he decided to start his business, he invested all his assets, borrowed more money, and decisively took action, because he had absolute faith in himself. He believed there was nothing in this world Li Ka-Shing couldn't do. And ultimately, he succeeded from a young age. Li Ka-Shing's inner self was incredibly resilient early on. In reality, he had grasped the truths of life early. He was already wealthy and his mindset, and earning large sums of money was just a matter of time. When I finished the book about Li Ka-Shing in my third year of university, I realized I had noted in the margin a short sentence: to get rich, the only way is entrepreneurship. Working for others offers no future. As a student, I worked part-time and experienced the work environment. Witnessing full-time employees listlessly repeating a monotonous life every day. That's when the sentence I wrote truly resonated. So, while working part-time, I started an online store. When I saw an opportunity, I immediately pivoted to wholesale trading, establishing the first company of my life. By the time I graduated, my company was running automatically. Even without my presence, my partners and senior management team could run the business smoothly. It can be said that the book about Li Ka-Shing profoundly impacted my inner self and subconscious, making me unwilling to settle for a mediocre life, unwilling to become just another office worker. So, why could Li Ka-Shing and I escape the loop of employment to start businesses? This relates to the second factor, steadfastness. A strong inner self comes from having a firm belief. Why do I say this? Li Ka-Shing and I share something in common, a passion for reading and pursuing knowledge. Our confidence and steadfastness come from the knowledge we've accumulated. Outwardly, we might appear humble, but inwardly, we are always proud, because while others were out playing, we spent time learning. While they remained stagnant, our knowledge continuously increased. Do you understand this? When Li Ka-Shing was 5, his father took him to do something important: pay respects to Confucius. A seemingly simple act, but it had immense significance, instilling a love for learning in the young Li Ka-Shing from childhood. Later, he even applied Confucian principles to his business and management. Regarding his childhood, when Li Ka-Shing was 12, his father used the family's entire savings to pay his tuition fees, even neglecting his own illness because he couldn't bear the cost of treatment, eventually passing away. Because of this, from a young age, Li Ka-Shing told himself he must build a career. He believed only knowledge could change one's destiny, as his father had taught him. Not only that, he created something that deeply impressed me. Li Ka-Shing had a profound concept called robbing knowledge. He believed others merely sought knowledge, while he seized and captured it. He robbed time. Previously, I chose to take taxis to the office instead of crowded buses to use the time for reading and taking courses that helped me earn money and succeed. To this day, I maintain this habit, reading numerous books each year. Even in old age, Li Ka-Shing's self-learning habits never change. Pay attention to his words. Books unrelated to my profession, I just skim through, but if it's a book related to my industry, no matter how difficult, I will read it thoroughly. Do you understand? This is the ability to filter information, something that has helped me greatly. My success in business stems from extensive research in my field. I sought out and read every book and course that could help me achieve success in that industry. When starting my wholesale company, I spent a lot of time researching production lines, logistics, and sales systems. After the company became automated, I had time to learn investing and began in-depth research into value investing, trend following, and leveraged products. Now, when I have time, I continue to explore future trends. Li Ka-Shing once said that this era is the era of the knowledge economy. Within that, I recognized that the mobile internet was an inevitable trend. Simply put, platforms like mobile apps and social networks would be golden opportunities. Because in business, we always care about profit and cost. And most services on digital platforms are free, meaning almost all revenue is net profit. Previously, opening a factory meant worrying about staff cuts and outsourcing to reduce production costs. But with digital businesses, these issues are almost non-existent. With just a phone or computer, we can start our careers. You need to know that earning 10 billion before 30 and earning that amount before 50 are two completely different concepts. Therefore, in this era, there are still plenty of opportunities for entrepreneurship. Li Ka-Shing once said, "In today's knowledge economy, if you have a lot of capital but lack knowledge and updated information, the harder you try, the higher the chance of failure. Conversely, if you have knowledge but no capital, with just a little effort, you can receive large returns and easily succeed." Now do you understand why we could steadfastly quit our jobs to start businesses? Because from the beginning, we didn't work just to earn money, but to infiltrate and learn. Once we thoroughly understood an industry, we would quit and move to another field. Li Ka-Shing used to work as a waiter in a tea house in Hong Kong, where he met many big bosses and learned valuable business experience. He then worked at his uncle's watch shop, mastering watch repair and learning how to manage a business. Realizing that successful business requires strong sales skills, he joined a hardware and building materials company as a salesperson. Later, when he opened his plastics factory, he discovered the patent for plastic flowers belonged to an Italian company. When the Italians refused to sell the patent, he flew to Italy to work and learn, then returned to Hong Kong to open his own plastic flower workshop. Through this, he propelled Hong Kong's plastic flower industry, became the plastics king, and earned his first fortune. See? It was his persistent pursuit of knowledge that helped him acquire all the skills a successful entrepreneur needs. What's more admirable is that he never stopped learning, constantly updating his knowledge. Ask yourself, can you do the same? So, what gave Li Ka-Shing such steadfastness? Actually, every successful person is driven by a dream. When Li Ka-Shing was 5, his father took him to see the ocean. From then on, he was captivated by the majesty of the sea and dreamed of becoming a village head so he could always gaze upon it. After his father passed away, he shouldered the responsibility of supporting his family. And another dream arose: to become successful so his family could have a better life. At that moment, he matured and became a true man. Later, he realized his dream as an entrepreneur but never gave up his dream of being a captain. He always referred to his company as a ship and himself as the captain. Even the name of his first company, Chung Kong, was inspired by China's longest river, the Yangtze, implying an ever-flowing current. What is your dream? A dream is the spiritual anchor that helps us steadfastly move forward. And thanks to that steadfastness and confidence, our inner self becomes stronger. This is essentially the formula for success. If you apply this formula to any successful person, it almost always fits, because it's the truth. Don't believe me? Try applying it to yourself and see if it works. You have nothing to lose, right? Who knows? You might succeed. Take Stephen Chow, for example. When he was young, his mother took him to see a Bruce Lee movie. That sparked a dream within him, making him determined to become a martial artist or an actor. He once said that all his efforts stemmed from his passion for Bruce Lee. So, when we have a dream, we need an idol. Just like I love basketball, I would imitate Kobe Bryant's moves and style. I believe anyone who loves basketball has imagined themselves as a star. Buying their idol's jersey, learning to speak is the same. As children, we imitate our relatives, parents. In our eyes, they are our first idols. That's why we learn to speak. So, if you want to become a certain type of person, find an idol and learn from them. Imitate them, even copy their way of thinking and acting. Becoming wealthy is no different. I knew early on that my dream was to become a successful entrepreneur. I wanted to drive expensive supercars, live in beautiful mansions, and travel the world. Therefore, I directly modeled a successful entrepreneur with a similar background to mine. I followed their journey, guessed how they thought at the time. Like in a martial arts novel, I devoted myself to learning all their secrets to success and made them my own. I advise anyone who wants to start from scratch, who wants to get rich with their own hands, to study Li Ka-Shing thoroughly. His story clearly shows step by step how to think and act. Returning to the original question, why didn't Li Ka-Shing retire even at such an old age? If you truly run a business and grow it larger and larger, you will understand a concept called responsibility. I hope everyone who wants to start a business can understand this. Before 2013, Li Ka-Shing never mentioned retirement. In an interview in Jiangsu, he shared that he was in excellent health, even with a fever. He could still go to work. He maintained a habit of waking up at 6 a.m. to play golf. Frequently ate dinner at home, and drank soups that clear heat. Outside of sleep, he spent 60% of his time working and 40% on charitable activities at his foundation. He said he worked 16 to 17 hours a day. Calculated by working hours, he had lived as if over 100 years. When I was in university, I didn't understand why he worked so hard. It wasn't until I started my own business that I realized, initially, we didn't start the company to make money, but just wanted to see if we could solve a societal need. Gradually, the business grew. and the number of employees increased. That's when we realized many people relied on our company. Clients trusted us with their work and gave us money to manage. Employees also depended on the company for income. It was then that we began to feel an increasing sense of responsibility. We even worked more than those employed. When others clocked off at 6 or 7 p.m., we continued working. When others had Saturdays and Sundays off, we were still busy. In the eyes of many who didn't understand us, they thought we had become slaves to money. They believed that even though I owned assets that could make money while I rested, I hadn't truly achieved financial freedom because they saw me working harder than ever. But actually, the reason is that we've grown accustomed to a life revolving around work. We love the work, we are passionate about it. Remember, it was responsibility that helped us succeed. And it's the same responsibility that makes it impossible for us to stop. The larger the enterprise, the heavier the responsibility. When you go to work, it's because you have a responsibility to your family. So you work 8 hours a day. When starting a business, we have responsibility not only to our families but also to clients, employees, partners, and many others. They trust us, and that trust pushes us forward while also preventing us from stopping. Therefore, we have almost no time left for anything other than work. Some people think work should get progressively easier. Earning more money is what defines success. In their eyes, we might look hard-working and unhappy. But that's not true. Li Ka-Shing and I have always been happy people. Let me quote Li Ka-Shing. This joy does not come from achievement or the applause of others. For me, the greatest fortune is being able to control my own greed. That is true wealth. As a person, as an entrepreneur, I try my best to use the experience, wisdom, and assets bestowed upon me by heaven to serve society. Do you understand? Li Ka-Shing is an enlightened person. He realized his life's mission. Just like the Buddha, whose mission was to save all sentient beings. His mission is to contribute to society, to repay all those who placed their trust in him. Actually, any successful entrepreneur thinks this way. I also hope that everyone starting a business carries this spirit of responsibility. Don't just think about making money. Wealth is just an accompaniment, a side effect. The important thing when starting a business is to find your mission, through which our souls can feel joy and fulfillment. If everyone understands what I'm saying, if you can grasp the trend of this mobile internet era, then this era still holds many opportunities to get rich. Starting a business is really not as difficult as people imagine. Of course, one day, I too will be like Yang Guo and Xiao Long Nu, famous couple from Jin Yang's wuxia novels known for retiring into seclusion, withdrawing from the world, enjoying a life of freedom, and seeking my new mission in another field. I also hope that everyone can achieve that and realize their true value. Due to time constraints, I will conclude here. Art of Fortune shares free information on how to become wealthy, an entrepreneur, an investor, and achieve financial freedom. If you don't want to miss out, I encourage you to subscribe to my channel, turn on notifications, and share this video with those who need it. I sincerely wish all brothers and sisters who have liked this video will soon achieve financial freedom. As long as you found 1 or 2 useful sentences in today's content that can help improve your life, I am already satisfied.